No.
No.
All right. Hello. Welcome to.
Hello.
What the fuck are we doing? Top 5 games of 2016. Three of us have, 3 different lists of top 5 games and a couple mentions. We're gonna go through them because, yes.
Yeah.
You boys want to go in any particular order? Because I don't really give a shit.
I'd like to go first.
Well,
because
right out the fucking
did
gate.
not
All right,
treat
then.
this list with any due respect that it deserves.
Fair enough.
I
Okay.
should probably get mine out of the way.
We'll just get to what you guys want to do one at a time, or you want to go through all 5?
We'll do one at a time. We'll do mentions and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll go like that.
Okay. All right.
That's what we did last year. So
Starting with the mentions, then.
the mentions.
All
Lead
right.
it off, Jose. Mention what.
Carry on, my wayward son.
Let me just check. Let me actually try to point out.
He doesn't
the
have a
game.
single goddamn mention. He's going through his Steam library right now. He's looking for something just to dig him out of the hole he's made.
I love it.
Did Dead Rising 3 come out?
Oh, fucking 2013, I think.
Yeah, it came out a long time ago.
The game that you were just telling me you can't get the run
All right.
quite right, and you were complaining
My
about.
honorable mention is all the DLC that Tim bought for Vermintide. That I can
Fair
play
enough.
for free.
You know what? I'll take it, man, because that shit is good stuff.
It all rocks.
It does.
Did it all come out this year?
Yeah. There was one free bit of content that came out end of last year, but all the paid stuff.
Schluschen was awesome, despite the fact that you hated the dungeon. That had
I wouldn't say
cool,
hate,
like,
it was just my
darkness
least
mechanic.
favorite.
That new Dwarven.
Yeah, the
maps
Dwarven shit is
were
great.
amazing. Like each one is like completely different, plays out differently, and it's awesome. What else? Oh, they overhauled some things. They added quests.
Yeah, they added quests. They redid the loot system a little bit to make it less pain
They
in the
made
dick.
the game playable again. I think I had kind of, it kind of like cooled off on the game for a while, but then I think that's all that they really need. They just need to release DLC a little more proactively.
Yeah, just
all
keep
you
a
need
few
is
maps
3 other
coming out.
friends.
Yeah, all you need
Yeah.
is just a little bit,
You
a
don't need
few
to
maps
keep
coming every
something.
few months. Make everyone happy. Keep
Yeah.
that game
So,
alive
yeah,
for fucking
that's
years.
my honorable mention.
Okay. Palmer, you want next?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I've got a couple honorable mentions actually. How many are we supposed to have? How many you want?
As
to do?
many as you want. 2 or 3 is fine.
All right, I'll do 2 of them. One of the honorable mentions is Killing Floor.
That was only an honorable mention for you.
Yeah.
You are throwing me curveballs.
Game is great. Put plenty of hours into it. I'm sure we're going to talk about it more in depth when we get to the official list, because it sounds like both of you guys probably have it on there. But yeah, it's an honorable mention for me. I really like it. The only reason that it's not going to end up on the top 5 for me is the fact that they like completely fucked up the sniper. And I'm still pretty salty about that.
I wouldn't say they fucked up the sniper.
Huh?
I wouldn't say they fucked up the sniper.
I don't know.
depends
It
on
just
the match
doesn't
you play.
feel. It doesn't feel the same the way that
The
it
sharpshooter?
did. Yeah, the sharp. Fuck you,
You mean
Jose.
sharpshooter?
Fuck you,
Or- you
Jose.
mean sharpshooter?
Fuck you.
I think he
Fuck
means
you,
sharpshooter.
Jose.
I hope that guy makes a resurgence. He's like, hey, fuck you.
He sensed it.
But yeah, it's still a great game. I really like it. There's just a few classes that I think it's a few tweaks away from being the same experience that I loved with the first one. Still fantastic game, like I said. Really enjoy. I actually hopped on it the other day with you and Isaac, right? Yeah. And played through some of the custom maps. I mean, it's good to see that the custom maps are finally starting to get more and more creative, and I think there's going to be a lot of life left in that game. I've put, I think, close to like 40 hours into it. I'm sure there will be at least 300 more before I'm done playing that game.
I was about to say, that's cute.
Yeah. And then my other honorable mention is The Witcher 3 Blood and Wine DLC. I finally managed to pick that up recently on the PlayStation Network. I actually ended up just buying the Game of the Year version.
Yeah, because you got the GOG version, didn't you?
Yeah. The base game, and for some reason GOG just like won't ever put that shit on sale for less than like 10% off. So it was actually cheaper for me to buy the Game of the Year edition on the PlayStation Network than it would have been for me to buy both the expansion packs on GOG. So I rebought the entire game, and I've been playing through it again. And yeah, I mean, like, the DLC is fantastic. I'm not I will fully admit that I have not completed the DLC. But what I have played of it has just been more of what I've come to expect from one of my top 5 games of the year from last year. So I don't think you can really go wrong with it.
Groovy.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then, what the fuck are my mentions? First one up is Titanfall 2. Actually, I played this with Palmer the other week or so ago. I like Titanfall. I finally finished the single-player campaign today. I will say, right now, Reddit's really loving this game. Like, few games a year, they just fucking gravitate and ride the dick of, be it Metal Gear, Witcher, or whatever. Right now, it's kind of Titanfall. And I heard nothing but hype about the Titanfall single-player campaign, and while it was really, a few levels were really fucking fun, it wasn't really anything special. It was kind of your typical, who gives a fuck campaign, honestly. But it was fun to play through, very much so. But the multiplayer is really good. It's not as easy to kind of pick up and play as the first game, which is bad for certain reasons and good for certain reasons. But my main issue and why this is so high up on my list my main reason for this not being higher on my list is they didn't release it with Frontier Defense, which is like the Horde mode, which is easily the most time I dumped into Titanfall 1. Likely to come in an update. They've already put out one update with one of the old maps, so it's going to come, but it didn't launch with it, and I think that that annoyed the shit out of me. So that's why it's there.
I mean, I picked it up on a sale recently. I will agree with you. Like, we played a few rounds of that in the multiplayer, and while I did enjoy myself, I had a great time. You're right in the sense that it's not very pick up and play. Like, you've actually got to like kind of dive into the camp. I feel like if I played the campaign, I would be a lot better at the multiplayer because I'd have an idea of what the Titans do.
Yeah, you'd have to know the loadouts and shit.
Yeah.
So it's mainly because of the Titans. Like each one is.
Yeah, I mean, like the pilots still control pretty much the same. There's a lot of like new stuff that they've added to the pilots, like new perks and stuff. But yeah, it's really the Titans because like there were really only like 2 Titans that anybody played like off the last one, and now there's like what 5 different options, right? 6
or 7.
6
actually.
different. Yeah, and they all play so differently. It's drastically different for each one. And just trying to figure out how to utilize all their like individual abilities and stuff. I mean, like every time I do much better just roaming as a pilot and leaving my Titan on AI than I do actually piloting the Titan because I just have no idea how to play some of them yet. And it's one of those things right now. I'm like on a crunch trying to get a whole bunch of stuff done for playing through my games lists and figuring out things that I really enjoyed from this year, so I haven't had enough time to really jump into it and dedicate it to Titanfall. But yeah, I agree. If I put some more hours into it, I feel like I'd enjoy it a lot more.
It's also just a tiny bit faster pace than the first game. I think that also.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was just me.
No, it's definitely a bit faster. Not by much, but enough to notice.
Yeah.
And then my second mention is XCOM 2. Again, fantastic game. The modding scene for this is fucking bonkers. I had Palmer and Jose in my group. Palmer was rocking a Halo Reach sniper rifle. Jose was rocking the, what the fuck were they called? The Mass Effect 3 sniper rifle, the M something or other.
The Black Widow?
The Black Widow. Jose was rocking the Black Widow, so that just gives you an idea of how fucking nutty. I had Sarah Kerrigan in my squad. I had Rex from Mass Effect. I had Master Chief. I had Sergeant Johnson. Like, it was fucking hilarious. My only issue with this game is about 80% of the fucking missions are time-based, where you have a certain set number of turns to go in, get your shit done, and get out. Most of the time that wasn't an issue, but I just really fucking hate it when games do that. And most of the missions were like that. So that's the only reason this is not higher up on my list. But as an XCOM game, it's fucking fantastic. I mean...
The mod, did you get it from Nexus Mods? Or
no,
from the...
all on the Steam Workshop. There are some more mature mods, I guess you could say, that you would find on the Nexus Workshop. But as far as just, I want to...
Actually, surprisingly, there's not really.
I've seen a couple. I mean, it's obviously not as vast
like
as...
Lover's Lab? Because like Nexus really doesn't seem to have much in terms of like nudie mods for XCOM.
Don't know. Nexus mod is usually my go-to outside of Steam Workshop.
Just added himself.
I don't know what this Lover Lab is. I feel like I should though.
That's a lie.
I know it's the God's honest truth. I'll tell you the truth, and I might look into it after this. But I don't know what it is at this point in time.
You should jump down the dark hole that is Lover's Lab.
I probably will.
All you have to do is go to the Skyrim thread and just blow your mind.
don't
God,
know.
the things people think up. Holy shit.
Well,
Yeah,
my brain
yeah.
immediately went. I want tits on my death claws in Fallout 4, and I'm sure I can make that happen.
Yeah, well, you can do a
And
lot
more.
more than,
And more.
than just that to your death claws with the Lovers Lab mods.
All right, tit mods aside, that brings us to our number 5. So, Jose, why don't you tell us what your number 5 game of 2016 is?
I'm glad you emphasized 2016, Tim, because
There's
my
a reason
game
I did that.
comes from us circa 2015.
All right.
Now, hear me out. I
Try.
just ruined my... Alright. So, my game, my number 5, is Guardians of Orion.
Technically,
game-
that launched this year, not last year.
Yeah, so it left early access in December of last year.
No, it started
I
early
think-
access December of last year.
No, it left it.
No.
Because it immediately went to Kickstarter.
No, it went to Kickstarter,
Remember?
failed, and then went to early access and tried to do another Kickstarter, failed, and then just recently tried another Kickstarter and failed.
Alright, so here's how
You're
I
actually good
remember
with
the
this. This
timeline.
actually technically came out
Alright,
this year.
perfect. Because, holy shit, this game has been on, like, Reddit's crosshairs for a while. The main developer apparently, like, is
David Praskell.
really good at like stirring up like drama with his game. Like I'm sure Tim can fill you in on more. I just remember all the hilarious stuff that Tim like, mentioned about.
At one point, he
the
was like,
dude-
"I'm coming for you, Star Citizen," and it was like, everyone was like, "What? All right,
And then like
all right."
promised things that there's no way his team of like Russian
Hackers.
like merc hackers could make. I think that the biggest one that stands out is that like a lot of assets in the game were straight up ripped from other things.
It was like one gun skin, to be fair, but it was like straight up
You
out
sure?
of it was like
I
it
thought
was
it
like
was
an
like a
assault
bunch of
rifle gun
dino
skin from like
mods.
Black Ops 2 or some shit. And when asked, the Russian
So-
guy was just like, seek a blat, and that was the end of that. But to his credit, the game was taken off Steam because of it, and he immediately went and changed it, and it was up the next day. So I guess he's got that going for him.
Right.
He's really
So this
good
dude-
at replacing stolen assets.
I mean, he's got that team of like slave
It would have been
modders that
next
work
level
for him.
if he replaced it with more stolen assets and still managed to get it back up the next day.
Steam standards nowadays, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
So yeah, this game it's really weird. It's not the best game, but it's not a bad game.
It's you know what? It's
You know,
great for what
it's-
it does for like that typical harvest.
It's so weird. Like so when you jump into the game, you're entered into like this hub world, which is like a space station where you can enter like there's actual like 3D modeled consoles that you can interact with, and it like you can change your layout or like accept quests and do like daily rewards and stuff. But like the user interface is really weird. So like everything looks kind of polished for what it is. Then you click on that console, and then it's like a flash animation, like an early flash animation flat screen with like
JavaScript.
it just looks really weird. Like so, and there's things like that that just kind of like stand out for the game. Like I didn't play a whole lot of games this year, so if I had played more games, this probably wouldn't have made my top 5.
This
But,
was in contention for mine until we played the recent update.
Really?
Well, yeah, it's just I was expecting a lot more from the Starship battles instead of what the fuck we got.
Yeah.
But like you said,
I
for just
mean,
like drop down like horde mode stuff, I love the idea of going from first to third to isometric view. Like I know of no game that has all 3 of those in one.
I know of no developer that was so fast at implementing these promises.
Yeah, he
Like,
did get
almost
he did
to the
get a
point
lot
where
of
it
those
seemed
things.
really sketchy.
Well, it was kind of sketchy, wasn't it?
So yeah, number 5, Guardians of Orion.
Guardians of Orion. All right, Palmer, you're up.
All right, my number 5 is the Telltale Batman game.
Oh, shit.
That game, so I bought it during the Christmas Steam sale and finished it within like a 2-day period because Telltale games really only run about 10 hours.
All the episodes came out?
Yeah, all the
Oh, I
episodes
thought
are
they
out.
were still coming out.
No, for season 1 is done. As I will admit that this game is probably on my top 5 because of the fact that I am a giant Batman fan.
You mean Ben Affleck fan?
No, Batman fan.
What'd you say, Martha?
I've loved Batman through the years, you know, everything, like from the 90s films to what Tim Burton started off with to you know, everything that's going on. Like,
hey man, Mark Hamill was the shit in that, and I will not have you disparage him.
I even fucking loved Batman vs Superman.
That was not a bad movie. I will give you that.
Yeah, it did not deserve the amount of shit that it got. I admit it had its flaws, but
shittiest movie
that's neither.
of my life.
That's or anyways, the game itself is fantastic. Telltale did a really good job with their take on Batman. It is a complete universe reboot. Everything is totally unique to the Telltale universe. You're not going to find much that coincides with the comics or anything that has been done with the movies. It took a few liberties with some of the characters that the consensus seems to be rather mixed, but I really enjoyed what they did with it. A lot of stuff came out of left field, and I texted a couple friends of mine who had recommended that I needed to pick it up, and which is why I picked it up in the first place, and was talking to them about it. And I mean, they all agreed with me. It was just so out of left field. It was just literally, like, as somebody who has read Batman comics since I was a kid, there's not much that can blindside me in the Batman universe, and somehow Telltale managed to do that. Not once, but twice. 2 different times, like, really completely blindside me with what they did. And like I said, the consensus seems to be maybe they tried to blindside a little too much, and a lot of people didn't like what they did with some of the characters, but a lot of people did. So, I mean, it really seemed to be kind of 50-50. It kind of depends on what camp you're in, but I really personally enjoyed it. They went full mature with it. It definitely deserved its M rating. The crime scenes that you investigate are grisly. They're grisly. You don't really see that level of violence in the Batman comics. I mean, like, you know, obviously, like, Joker cut his face off and stuff in, like, the latest releases of them, but, like, you don't see it. Whereas in this, you see it, and you're putting the carnage together. And they did a really good job just making him feel like a detective, which I don't think the Arkham games did as effectively as this Telltale game did.
I'd agree with that.
Obviously, it's full of quick time events. It is mainly a story, so it does lack in the gameplay, just like every other Telltale game. But you're playing it to get the experience. It's like, you know, your choose your own adventure thing. I really loved what they did with all the villains, how they're rebooting it, and the end of the season leaves off so fucking well that I'm not even going to wait for the next season to fully release. I'm just going to buy it flat out when it comes out. As soon as episode 1 releases, I will pick it up day 1. Absolutely fantastic. I didn't think. No, I can't do that. It's a spoiler.
No spoilers, faggot.
It's really good. It's really good. Strongly recommend playing it if you're any sort of a Batman fan. Even if you're not, even if you're just a casual Batman fan, if you really like the Telltale games and that kind of style, then I really don't think that you can go wrong with the Batman Telltale game. So definitely earned its place on my top 5, and I'm very glad that I played it this year.
Yeah, Telltale knows how to make a fucking fantastic story-driven game.
Yeah, they really do. Like, they nail it every time. I mean, there's still I'm still sitting on, like, the Game of Thrones one. I'm still sitting on the Borderlands one. I still haven't played through either of those, but
I haven't touched the Michonne Walking Dead or the Game of Thrones one yet either.
I haven't played
the games, but I've always been watching someone play them, like almost all of them. That experience itself is cool. It's like watching a TV show.
Yeah, that's one of those games you don't really need to play. You can just sit back and watch.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, if you want to and you want to just check out the Let's Play, I mean, still strongly recommend checking those out. Like, it's a fantastic series. Voice acting's great, animation is great. I actually, that's another thing that I quickly want to go into. The graphics and the way that Telltale handled cell shading and stuff in this versus like what you saw with like Walking Dead, for instance, or something like that. Like, I would love for the graphic style of this game to be done in the style of like the Arkham games. Like, if they made a Batman Arkham game with this kind of cell shaded comic booky style, like, that would be amazing. I would really look forward to that. in terms of like developing an action game. But yeah, I don't know. Check it out. Definitely deserves a lot of recognition. It was fantastic.
Nice.
That's your number 5. My number 5 is Deus Ex Mankind Divided, because it was pretty fucking good. It wasn't terribly long, wasn't terribly short. I blew through it in like a week, just playing it nonstop, and it's one of the few games, I'm so fucking backlogged on my Steam library nowadays. It's one of the few games, right when I finished it, I immediately started a second playthrough because I enjoyed it so much. Some small problems here and there, but overall, it was just fucking great. It really, if you like Human Revolution, you'll love fucking Mankind Divided. It's the same type of shtick, but there's more powers now, cover system's a lot better.
Everything felt a lot better. In terms
Yeah,
of,
it's just
mechanics and
it's basically
security,
the
it
same
was
game,
just
but it was
much better.
tweaked to play better.
Yeah, it feels more like a first-person shooter.
I've never played any of the Deus Ex games.
Yet you love the dank meme references. I can confirm.
I only just found out that came from that.
But
game.
yeah, if you play fucking Human Revolution, then Mankind Divided, you're set. Like the old games are good, but they're not like really crucial to figure out. Picking up what's going
I don't
on.
know, dude.
I said crucial, not.
Yeah. None of you don't have to play them to play the new ones, but
Right.
honestly, the very first Deus Ex game is one of the greatest games ever made.
The second one was really shitty, but the first one, that was
The first one is like absolutely, and you can get a fantastic working version of it on GOG.
They actually updated it. There's actually an update on the Steam version too, where some people put out a mod a few years back just to up the resolution and everything, make it look a little nicer. So if you were to do that, go that route. Good stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't skip the first Deus Ex, honestly. Like it's like System Shock 2 or something like that. Like whereas like it's not relevant to the BioShock games, but it's still one of the greatest games ever made of that generation, at least.
Yeah, but yeah. Deus Ex Mankind Divided is a good shit indeed, and it's just they've got so many fucking powers to play with. Like it really warrants like a second or third playthrough because it's just hilarious some of the shit you can do in that game. All right, Jose, I kick it back to you with your number 4.
Number 4 is Homefront Revolution.
Oh shit!
So, I don't know if this is on your list, Tim.
What do you think?
You might have to take over when it comes to that, describing the game, because I haven't played the single player.
That's right, you haven't touched the single player.
I have no interest really in playing the single player. I find more satisfaction with playing like multiplayer, and sometimes if a game has like co-op single player, that's fine, but that's just like the way I like to play games. So the multiplayer is fun as shit.
It is.
It is all but abandoned, I think, by its like.
But
community.
they keep putting out maps for it. Like they put out a map about a month ago. They keep putting out fucking maps
and we
for it.
found one person to play with us.
We did, and it was
that
glorious.
Was amazing. So yeah, the game, it's like this. The story is like North Korea invades America somehow. I don't know. I never played the game. But I don't see how they could have.
They became Apple, and there's two different storylines. And the newest one, basically, they became Apple and like bought America. That's the long and short of it.
Right.
That's about how. All
right, now I want to play the single player.
It's the plot of Black Ops 2.
My cock. So, multiplayer, fun as shit. You got like a character you can RPG it up. You can put points in skill trees. You get like lots of powers, like getting extra guns or being able to sprint better or to collect scavenge scraps better. It's got a lot of crafting elements to it.
does have a lot of crafting.
It's just fun. I don't know. I wish there were more people to play with, because half the time it's just me and Tim. I mean, it's 4 players max, I think, right?
Yeah, you can play with 2, but it is fun when you have a full squad.
Yeah, when you get to do higher difficulty with people that know how to play the game, it's actually really rewarding being able to like complete a level. But when it's just 2 people, the AI can get a little overwhelming on like the higher difficulties, and it's no fun at all.
Goddamn Koreans.
And yeah. That's my number 4.
Homefront
based
Revolution.
Mainly on the fact that I had a lot of fun playing multiplayer.
All right,
You
Palmer.
can probably go more in depth than
I will.
whatever.
I will. Don't you worry.
Thank you, Tim.
All right, my number 4 is Doom.
Oh shit.
I really, really loved the fuck out of this game. It really nailed everything. Well, I guess Bethesda published it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Bethesda published it. ID developed it.
Yeah.
It's a good combination when that happens.
Yeah. It is. You know, I was one of the few that really liked the multiplayer. A lot of people really didn't seem to dig it quite as much as I did, and the multiplayer seems to be all but dead at this point. But the single player campaign is fantastic from start to finish. It's got your standard set pieces. It's just littered with blood and gore. I mean, it's downright in your face visceral violence at its most fun and arcadey, and you really can't do it much better than they did. I mean, I think they nailed a formula so well with this that I wouldn't be surprised if the next Wolfenstein borrows a lot of ideas from Doom.
Well, to be fair, Doom kind of borrowed from. I mean, they're kind of the same ilk, if you will.
Yeah.
Doom
well,
is just
I don't
much
know,
more brutal, we'll say.
Well, I mean, the way the you have to kill enemies to gain life back or ammo back, like that wasn't a thing really.
No, yeah, that was a new concept.
But I mean, like just a tweak like that, the fact that if you're low on health, you have to jump into the fray. The game doesn't give you a choice. Is just genius game development, especially when you play it on higher difficulties. It really just makes it so super rewarding when all of a sudden you're sitting there at like fucking 10 or 20 fucking health left, and you're desperate, and you rip out a rocket launcher, and you just start spraying and praying with the fucking rocket launcher, and somehow, all of a sudden, you're just covered in entrails, and there's no more enemies left. It's one of the most rewarding experiences I think I've had in gaming, period, in 2016. Start to finish, it's a fantastic campaign. It's paced really, really well. It's the perfect length. There were a few issues that I had with some of the platforming, but I have that issue generally with like any FPS that includes platforming. But that being said, the Doom was definitely amongst the best. Don't expect it to be like Turok platforming where it's all loose and airy and they're trying to make Super Mario Brothers with a fucking first-person shooter. That's not really what id went for. They did capture enough of a formula there to make it successful, so it didn't feel completely frustrating. But there were a few points where the platforming got on my nerves. But I mean, the boss reveals, the way everything sets up, everything, like it's so good. It's so good from start to finish. And I mean, even though I think my biggest qualm was the fact that I think they revealed too much too quickly. Like towards the end of the game, like I think like the last like 4 or 5 chapters of it, there's only like 2 extra enemies that are revealed. So I feel like they probably should have slowed that down a little bit instead of trying to like, pop its load in the first few chapters. But there's enough replay value there. There's enough like for speed run. I mean, like the game crammed everything it could in there to make replay value on the single player campaign just an absolute fucking a masterpiece. I mean, like it's dedicated to speedrunners, to people that want to discover secrets. It's rewarding. There's collectibles all over the place. I mean, it's fantastic. And the fact that it's dropped down in price, and the fact that they removed the de novo
DRM.
Yeah, DRM. I mean, like the game's only getting better. So, I mean, good on them. They really nailed it out of the park, I think, with that one. And if it wasn't for Overwatch, it would probably be my first-person shooter of the year.
Ew. All right, Doom.
Another game I bought but never played.
You seem to do
Well,
that.
you have a history of doing that, Jose.
But I watched the shit out of like Let's Plays for that game.
It seems to be a trend.
All right, my number 4 is Homefront: The Revolution. I won't go too much into the multiplayer because Jose kind of covered that. Co-op goodness, different skill trees you can build, different characters, different weapons. You upgrade all this shit, yada yada. Lots of fun. Single player is essentially urban Far Cry, like urban Far Cry 3. And I think Palmer said it best way back when this game first came out. It's a gem in the rough. It's a fantastic fucking game. It released broke as shit, but after many months of patches, it actually runs fairly well now. It's still kind of fucky. But the single-player game, it's got everything Jose said, except it's got more crafting, it's got more emphasis on, like, stealth, and just, you're, like, this lone fucking guy with a machine gun in a city full of Koreans that just want to murder the shit out of you. Lots of fucking fun. I think I dumped about 30 hours into it, and I didn't do, like, all the side quests. I did a lot of them, but not all of them. But it's got a lot of content in it. And, again, multiplayer is fantastic. They're pumping out maps for it still, even though, you know, me and Jose are 2 of the 7 people that still play it. But, yeah, it's good shit. I really enjoyed that game. I really liked the first Homefront, and I was hoping the second one would be good. And, honestly, despite all its horrendous flaws, this one kind of blew it out of the water. Instead of, like, a Bad Company 2-ish clone, it was just not really a Far Cry clone. It was kind of its own thing, but it borrowed a lot from that open world Ubisoft type of jazz, if you will. So my number 4 was Homefront: The Revolution.
Awesome. We cutting back to me.
Cutting back to you.
No further questions, Your Honor.
The defense rest.
All right. So my number 3 is Killing Floor 2. My God. So, yeah, this I think is like, it's definitely an amazing sequel to a game we all hold like near and dear to our hearts. While like Palmer touched on it, like it wasn't like a true like exact better clone of it by like changing some of like the way the characters react or excuse me, like play or even like by not like really revealing anything about the story. They kept all like the cool like gun effects, just like the amount of weapons. It's, I don't know, everything about this game is just like, it's super fun to play. Like it's for like a first-person shooter. That's a game that's strictly like multiplayer, like kind of like Palmer was saying. Like I had a few other games that I put on my list that probably like Killing Floor 2 definitely like fought for like #1 spot on my list. And it also it encompassed a lot of things that I enjoy about games, like modern games. It didn't have a story really within the game. If you want a story, you kind of have to like look at the whole picture. Like it's all told with like the maps that they have. So like if you didn't play the first one, you just assume that, all right, so there's a bunch of like zombies, probably like some zombie apocalypse or whatever, and there's just like bosses. But like the story from the first one is like it's some crazy scientist made like super soldiers or whatever, but they don't cram that in your face.
Yeah, it's just scattered throughout the game. You really have to look for it.
Yeah, and so like that's cool, because I think if they made you like linearly go through a level and do things in multiplayer, like that would take away from it. They put a lot of emphasis on how realistic the weapons work and sound. We watched a bunch of like developer diaries, and I'm sure we like discussed whenever they did one on the podcast, and it's just so cool how like they really went all out for it. It's the first game actually I've ever played that I noticed how good a gun shooting looked and felt. Before it was just something that happened, like I was just used to Halo and Call of Duty. It just shot things. But this is the first one that like you can see the recoil and how realistic it looks. It just
yeah,
things like that
is
just
really
stuck
good with that.
Yeah,
they like just take guns and go out. Like that's probably what you're talking about. One of the videos they put out. They do that with like every game. Red Orchestra, Killing Floor. They just get a pile of guns and go out to a field and record shooting it, and then mix it and match it and get it working right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it shows definitely. Let's see, what did I actually write?
This game is very, very fun. I enjoy it very, very much.
Yeah, we were with it from the beginning when it hit early access.
Are we hipsters? We killing floor hipsters?
Yeah. I mean, for a game that's just multiplayer with no story,
actually,
they nailed
all of us were
all
in
the-
it from the beginning.
Yeah. I think we live streamed.
Yeah, we did actually. Yeah.
So that's my number 3. Yeah, can't give it any more praises. It's an amazing game. Everyone should really play it. Even if you haven't played the first one, I don't think you're missing much. It's just a better version of that one.
I agree.
All right. Well, I guess it's passed over to me now, huh?
It is.
What do I order? Number three. Oh, Overwatch. Okay. Well, Overwatch. I mean, I don't know what else to say that hasn't already been said about this fucking game. It's fantastic. It's
all the waifus.
It's just. I mean, all of us have played it. Tim, you only really played the beta, right? You didn't really.
Yeah, I haven't played the release. I get why people like it though. I'm not really against Overwatch.
Yeah, I mean, when it came out, I played it pretty religiously. It really sank its hooks into me and everything, and I really loved it. And I ran into the same wall that I run into with all multiplayer games, which is just the fact that if it's not Dota, I'm just not going to play it for ever and ever and ever. But I still hop on it whenever they do the seasonal stuff. I really enjoy a lot of their seasonal stuff, and that's actually the reason that I continue to return to the game over and over again. I know when the Halloween stuff, Jose and I came out, Jose and Chris and I jumped in on that. We played the living shit out of that Halloween event. I really loved the Olympic event that they ran. I really love the Christmas event that they've run. It's all been great. I mean, the game itself is fantastic. I mean, the multiplayer, I can see why it's got so much pull. I can see why everybody's so interested in it. Just because I don't have the dedication to sit down and play it competitively enough doesn't diminish the fact that I enjoyed the game. It feels great. It's got the Blizzard level of polish. The one big drawback is I think that the skins and the way they have all that set up is pretty exorbitant. I mean, that's every Blizzard game though. But the base game, you get in there, you pay your money for it, and it's ready to go. I mean, the fact that you can get access to every single hero, Blizzard did that right. All the heroes that they're releasing, it's you never have to pay any more for that. It's all just cosmetics that you have to pay for if you want to from there on. And even with those, as long as you're still leveling up, you don't really have to pay for them. You just got to level up. But the multiplayer is great. It's very team-based. A lot of the heroes all work together very well, stringing together I mean, it's a first-person MOBA. That point has been kind of hammered home as much as it possibly can, and I'm sure everybody who's watching this that has had an opportunity to play Overwatch knows exactly what I'm talking about. So, it comes in my number 3, and I think it deserves that spot. If it's one of the best first-person shooters that has been released this year.
All right, sir. My number 3 has already been mentioned. It's got a lot of crossover this year, most of them last. My number 3 is Doom, because holy fuck, that game is awesome. Now, I loved Doom 3, don't get me wrong, but the new Doom is much more, I think, akin to the old one, where you're just running around mowing down shit. Everything Palmer said, I completely agree with, and just to build on that, they've put out lots of updates. They put out an arcade mode, which is basically the single-player game, but it's sectioned off, and it's, it's like Palmer said, it's kind of built for speedrunners. You're timed, you get medals, you got to keep killing shit and chain killing shit to get a better score. It's fucking fun. They did one stupid thing with the multiplayer, which was they combined all of the team-based stuff into one playlist instead of just team deathmatch and then, capture the flag or whatever. They threw it into one playlist. And everyone fucking hated that. And the multiplayer just dropped dramatically. However, they did revert it back to where you can play Team Deathmatch if you want to play Team Deathmatch. So hopefully it'll see a bit of a resurgence. But like Palmer said, the player base for multiplayer isn't really there. But you can find games. It's not like you won't be able to find a game. But it's a certain thing. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'm okay with it. I like it. I get tired of it quickly, though. But like Palmer said, it's interesting. It does its own kind of weird little thing. But Snap Map, the custom stuff for Doom, is fucking amazing. Just the other week, I played...
yeah, I totally forgot to mention that. Yeah.
The other week, I played the
great.
first level of Halo 1 in Doom Snap Map. Captain Keyes was a giant demon telling me what to do things. You know, Cortana was also a demon. And, you know, it had all the doors exploding at the right time. Like, the guy took the time to, like, choreograph it just right and get everything right. So, it's just, that gives you an idea of all the shit they have on Snap Map. I love that a lot of it's co-op. I love that they're still putting shit into it. You can it's like Forge. It's pretty easy to build stuff and put shit together. But I really fucking love that. Like, the single player is amazing, and Snap Map just fucking, oh god, it's so good. Like, I really want us all to hop on it at some point again and revisit it, because there's so much shit on there now. Like, it is ridiculous. All the old Doom levels have been remade into the modern stuff. It's
those would be so much fun to play.
yeah, dude. It's so much fucking fun. I fucking love Doom. I'm so happy that came out, and I really hope they did what they did with Wolfenstein, which was they released like a standalone expansion this coming year, because I will buy the shit out of that.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. Old Blood was really good.
Old Blood was fucking amazing. If they can do that with Doom, I'd be very happy.
Yeah.
So my number 3 is Doom, and I will pass it back to Jose.
Yes.
Jose.
I all but forgot that game had like a Forge mode.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. All right, so my number 2 is a little game called Valhalla.
Valhalla!
Bartender game. Valhalla spelled VA-11 space Hall-A. It's a too much wit. It's a visual
I
novel.
didn't realize we were watching an episode of Frasier, Jose. So much wit.
Get off the Frasier
30
shit,
minutes.
boys.
30 minutes.
Throw your fucking salad out the window.
I'm calling against
With my scrambled eggs. They're still around.
This is all Netflix's fault somehow, isn't it?
It absolutely
I've got
is.
the first 4 seasons on DVD.
Jesus Christ.
There are 7 seasons. I think.
Yeah, there are. No, there's 9, aren't there? I think there's 9.
That show ran for fucking ever. I'm pretty sure there's like 12.
Nah, there's less than 10.
Can we get back to the
Maybe
goddamn
more than
video
7.
games, please?
All right, so
We're now
Valhalla
Frasier-cast.
is I guess it's kind of classified as a visual novel, but it's got too many like interactive parts to be like a true visual novel, which is just a game you play and you just experience the words and the like pictures. This game is actually like a lot of the dialogue is broken up with a little mini game where you're a bartender and you make drinks. And the game is set in a dystopian future.
Oh, yeah,
Like
I know
all
what you're talking
futures.
about.
Right. So it's set in Glitch City, at something like maybe a century in the future. You're just some chick who like is a bartender at this place called Valhalla. The name is because its designation is like a bar in like Hall 11 and like whatever. It ties in nicely. It's one of those games where like the story is the only important thing about it. Like this minigame is cute in that like it gives you different ways to interact with like the patrons of the bar. But the story is all about like it's actually like one of the better written visual novels that I've like played in a while. And I think it has a lot to do with what's happening in the developer's home country, which is Venezuela. As I'm sure you all know, it's going through like a really crazy like economic crisis.
Hasn't it been doing that for like a decade, though?
It has, and the like shrinking of oil prices like have not helped. There's rioting in the streets, people, hyperinflation. You can't really, it's like that's a desperate situation, and like this game kind of like reflects that, but in like this dystopian future where like the corporations are running wild, they're like oppressing people. There's like inept people in power, and besides being like a nice allegory, it's a really like riveting story. It's very mature. It deals with a lot of adult themes. It can get a little like what's the term? like a little melodramatic, but I think it's okay to forgive that in like an anime style visual novel. The art style is amazing. The sound is also like cool. Like
It's very
the soundtrack is
Shadowrunny
amazing.
looking. I think you'd agree.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's it doesn't shy away from its dystopian cyberpunk future, themes, and yeah, and it's really cool because unlike visual novels, you just point and click and just watch this kinetic, novel happen. You can you serve drinks, but then you can add more alcohol to open new dialogue options. Get the patron a little more drunk, and they'll open up, and then you learn more about like this rich world. At the end, it's the game runs in like different days, so you've got like a week to have enough money to pay for your rent, and in this like hyperinflated money like world, you kind of need a lot to like survive. And you learn more about the world not also through like dialogue, but just things that happen in your house. So you're like in this like single apartment, and you're on your phone. You can like read headlines of like news. You can check out people's blogs, like the equivalent of like 4chan or like a BBS. You can like go shopping. You spend money, but then if you don't have enough money to pay your rent, or if you don't buy something that the character thinks they want, you'll be distracted for work the next day, which means they'll tell you what they want to drink, and you won't remember it when you're trying to make the drink. So like it's gonna be harder to like make it. Then if you give them the wrong drink, you won't get as much money. So there's like a cool little mini game of making sure you get the right drinks, but also like doing enough to like open more dialogue. It's a super fun game. I've only made it to like day 5, but I think it goes on for like a couple of weeks. And from what I've played, it's amazing. I mean, I've been following this game from like early development. They made like different builds of the game that they would release at different cons, and each one, there's little nods to the previous demos that they released, and it's just a cool game. Everything from like the backstory of the developers to just how it plays, it's super fun, and I highly recommend this game. If you've never played a visual novel, I think this would be a good introduction to what it can do.
Alrighty then.
That's my story, and I'm sticking
You're
to
sticking
it.
to it? Alright. Alright, Palmer, you're up with your number 2.
All right, my numero dos is going to be Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Really?
Yep, I got it for Christmas. I have been playing the living shit out of it. So I bought my wife a DS for Christmas, and I got her Sun, I think, and I asked for Moon for Christmas. And so, she's got the Sun copy, I've got the Moon, and we've both been playing the shit out. She is significantly farther along than I am, because I can't stop playing Dota. And of course, all the time that I'm spending playing that, she's just getting farther and farther ahead of me. But Pokemon Sun and Moon really, really fucking nailed it. It's the first one that I've played since X and Y. X and Y I really enjoyed. I didn't finish it, but this one I haven't finished either. But I am fully intending on finishing it. They've broken up the formula just enough to make it feel a little more fresh. So you're not going from gym to gym anymore. You're doing these events. So basically, like the whole thing takes place on a series of islands that are basically supposed to be like Hawaii. So all the Pokemon that live there are forms of Pokemon that we're all familiar with, but they're just different enough because they've evolved differently because they're on a series of islands instead of being on mainland. So they all look different. They all act different. For instance, like a Rattata isn't purple anymore. It's gray and has like a different type of characteristics. So every Pokemon that you face, you're not really sure whether or not it's going to be the same type of Pokemon that you're familiar with, or if it's going to have. Sometimes it will have different characteristics. Sometimes they will be the same. They've added a whole plethora of new ones, and then on top of that, I mean, like it's just great. It's so much fun. It pulls at every nostalgia string that I've got for Pokemon. I mean, it's like being a kid again and playing
Red and blue.
Red and blue on the original Game Boy back in the day. So everything obviously looks much better. The animations are adorable. The Pokemon are great. I mean, like there's the one qualm that I have is that a lot of the new Pokemon start off really, really fucking cute. And I'm like, oh yeah, I totally want this, and then they evolve into like their douchey teenage form, and then they go from douchey teenage form to like hyper steroided out like fucking Megazord fucking ultra form, at the very end. So I don't know, like I think there's a way to stop evolution. There definitely was in the original games, so I've got to figure out how to do it in this one because I would love to go back and catch one of the base Pokemon that I started with and not let it evolve. Because that thing was fucking adorable. But yeah, I mean, the game's great. It's a lot of fun. They've changed everything. Instead of like having a bicycle to move fast like you did in the original games, you ride on a Taurus. There's a whole bunch of other features that are included as well. And the way that it's broken up is instead of going from area to area and fighting through 7 different gyms, you fight through a number of different islands. I haven't beaten it yet, so I'm not sure how many islands there are in total. And I'm really doing my best to stay not looking anything up. I want to experience the game organically, as organically as I possibly can. But yeah, it's fantastic. I strongly suggest picking it up for anybody that hasn't played a Pokemon game in a while. I think it'll definitely pull at all the right strings to just completely reel you back in and make you a Pokemon fan all over again. The combat feels great. It's still the same like familiar formula, but there's enough variation. Pokemon can call other Pokemon in for help, so sometimes you'll be facing multiples instead of just one. And I will admit that actually gets kind of annoying sometimes because you'll be on the verge of killing a Pokemon and then making a Pokemon faint, and then it'll call in another one for help, and you're just gonna have to take two of them on. And sometimes that one calls in the third one for help. I had one instance where a fucking Raticate kept calling in more Raticates. I was on like the 6th or 7th Raticate. I'm just like, you know what? I want this battle to be fucking over, and I couldn't run away from it. And I was just like getting really, really furious, and so that was a little bit annoying. But there's enough there to keep everything feeling fresh, and I've got a good blend of new and old, and I don't know, man, it's good. Really enjoying it. I really thought Hitman was gonna end up as my second, but I got pulled away from Hitman by Pokemon, and it definitely deserves its second place here.
All right. Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Yep.
My number 2.
What are your thoughts on Pokemon Go? Just real quick.
Oh, I mean, I really enjoyed it. That ship has kind of sailed for me.
For everyone, hasn't it?
I don't know. I mean, my wife still plays it. I actually know quite a few people that still play it pretty regularly. But in my opinion, they just need to add the ability to be able to battle other people, and not just leave it to gym-specific battles and stuff like that. The second they do that, I will be like 200% back in on that game. But until they do that, like there's just I don't know. It's gotten kind of boring going to the same like 3 gyms. I did like for the first few weeks that game came out, I literally drove around to the same 3 areas and went to the same gyms and would take them over, and then some little 12-year-old would come along and knock me out of it, and I'd drive back to the same area, take it back over again. But yeah, I mean, the second that they start implementing a PvP system, some way that I can just say, hey, you play Pokemon Go, let me fight you right now. Like the second they implement something like that, then yes, I'm back in on that game. But until that happens, I don't know. I think it just seems pointless.
The only reason they have it is just because Ingress has nothing like that. They're pretty much, it's not a clone of Ingress, but they borrowed a lot from Ingress, and Ingress has no direct PvP, so they're in new territory with that shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, they keep saying they keep saying that they have plans to implement something like that, but this latest big update that they released over the holidays, like, didn't really do. All they did was add like a whole bunch of like new Pokestops as like Starbucks. So like every Starbucks is a fucking Pokestop now, and like a few other things. But
Sounds awful.
Like, I don't know. It feel like they had an idea for something that was really awesome, and they've done nothing but stumble with it since it came out. So yeah, I don't know. Tim, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Total War Warhammer. This is... Warhammer was fucking made for Total War, and Total War was fucking made for Warhammer.
Yep.
The marriage of the two is fucking amazing. You can have giant swaths of zombie going up against night goblins, going up against Empire soldiers, going up against vampires, going up against fucking ogres. It's just, it's nonsensical, the amount of fun you can have with this game. Each race has a different campaign, the way it plays, and like where you start, and your objectives, and yada yada. It's just so fucking good. The only issue this game has is, Jesus Christ, fuck off with the DLC, because I think at this point in time...
Wasn't the last Total War, like, plagued with this
Yeah, it's been like this since Napoleon. No, Napoleon wasn't that bad. Rome 2, I think, is when this started, so like 5 years now. But yeah, it's hard. But I will say, despite the horrendous DLC coming out constantly, the quality of the DLC is fucking great. Because with other Total War games, it's basically, alright, you got a samurai, and then this DLC faction is like, I don't know, a subsect of a rival samurai bullshit thing. They're both humans, they're both samurai, they look similar, their armor may be a little bit different, yada yada. With Warhammer, it's like, alright, here's a wood elf, and here's a fucking 12-foot-tall beastman. And here's like a 4-foot-tall goblin, and here's a vampire. Like, the models are completely different, the way they play is completely different. I'm actually kind of happy with all... I've bought most of the DLC thus far, and I've enjoyed the shit out of it. And I think they're planning on doing 2 big, like not new games, but big expansions, until they have all the fucking old school Warhammer armies in the game, which is like 15, 16, so there's a lot more DLC to come, is what I'm getting at. But I will happily buy it, because holy shit, this game is fun! As Jose knows, Daniel, our friend, has, like, he's lost to time now. Like, I've done maybe 50 hours in this game, he's almost near 200. This game grabs you, and it does not let go. It is sickening. The only reason I haven't done 200 games in is because I needed to play all the other games on my list, essentially. And now that they're all done, I'm going right back to it, and I can't wait to start up my, vampire, and then my orc, then my wood elf. It's just, holy shit, this game is fun. It's really fucking fun. If you like Total War, if you like Warhammer, you really gotta play this fucking game. It's really fucking fun.
This game could have been garbage, and you love
And I would
Warhammer
ride its dick so fucking hard, Jose. So fucking hard. So fucking hard. But yeah, the thing is, this game is actually good. It's great. It's fantastic. So it's like, yes.
I'm not familiar with how the DLC works. When you said that, like, Wood Elf, is that like just one individual unit?
No, it's a faction. Like, it's a new faction. There's 2 faction DLCs thus far. There's Beastmen and Wood Elves. You get the faction to play in like scenarios and stuff, and you get to use them in campaign. And both thus far, all the factions also have their own campaigns. The Beastmen have their own separate campaign that's different from the normal campaign parameters. With the Beastman, it's shorter, and you have different objectives. Same thing with the Wood Elves. They just tweak the campaign. They tweak the campaign just a little bit to give you kind of a new experience. Because you're going to be playing through the campaign a lot. If you play through every battle of your campaign, they can last hundreds of hours. If you play through a handful of them, they will still last you. I think mine was around 35, 40 hours, and that was playing maybe 6 or 7 battles. So they go on for a while, but they keep you interested because there's this giant fucking map, and there's all these fucking Warhammer factions going, hey, fuck you, and like fucking with you. Or maybe you make peace with this guy, and that pisses off this guy, so now this guy's on your dick. Like, it's just so fucking fun. I love that fucking game. Total War Warhammer is amazing. Fuck yes. Jose, what's your number 1?
Alright. So, my number 1 on this 28th day of December of the year of our Lord, 2016.
Our Lord. You.
My number 1 is Overwatch.
We both saw this coming.
So
Nice.
I've been going ham on this game. Like, I picked it up for the Halloween event. And, yeah, everything that Palmer mentioned earlier, just how polished it is, how everything kind of, like, works together. Technically, there's no character that's, like, better than the other, even within its own class, because they're all very viable. But there's still, like, a meta to the game, where just characters are used more because they have a higher win rate. But every character is, pretty well balanced. And Blizzard every Tuesday seems to like reinforce that by either tweaking something slightly or just having comments on, we're thinking about doing this, this, and that to the game to make it a little better. And that's pretty cool, like getting weekly confirmation that they're constantly going to work on this game. I love that there's no there's no like real story in the game. If you want that, you have to look at it outside of the game. They've got like kinetic comics, like animated little shorts. They've got there's a bunch of other stuff. If you want to learn about this world, you've got crazy resources. The way they handled introducing new characters has been pretty cool too. Like they found a way to not just announce it, but involve the player base. And if you want to get even more involved, they're during the Sombra augmented reality game, you actually had to like hunt to get new information. It might have gone on a little longer than it should have, but the idea was still awesome. It's the first game that made me want to be better at a game. Like a lot of games I just treat like, they're fun little excursions. I'll play them. It's, it lets me like, act out this fun thing for a while, and then whatever, I shut it down and go on with my day. But Overwatch, I can sit there and play it for hours. Like it's a game where I Googled, how to get better at this fucking game. What tips and tricks that the pros have.
Game Genie, please.
And I learned a lot, and I got significantly better at the game, and it's so rewarding. Playing a game and just knowing that because of a combination of characters that are the opponents picked, I can coach. I can give encouragement to like my teammates to like give us somehow a better edge over them. It's satisfying when you're in a game with people are active, they're talking, and it's all these fun things that like I eventually learned about the game that made it way more fun than initially. That there's a whole bunch of other stuff outside of just mechanics that make this game amazing. For example, recently, and not to get into this territory too much, but like one of the characters, was revealed that they were queer, and it's awesome. That one of the most beloved mascot characters in this game.
All right. You're gonna bring that up.
Here comes Palmer's Southern Charm.
You're gonna bring that up. All right. So I actually had a huge problem with that.
Really?
Yeah.
Just morally, or
modern?
No, because I didn't have a problem with it because they made that reveal. It was because it was unnecessary. Up until this point, everything that Blizzard has revealed on Overwatch has been story related, or it's advanced a character or made you learn more about a character. Just telling me that a character is gay, literally the only point of that entire fucking comic was just to say that Tracer is gay. Is
Tracer the one with the short hair?
It's so stupid to me. It's so stupid. And I talked to I talked to my wife about this, and my wife is a huge LGBT, like she's very much a proponent for rights for the LGBT community. And I told her about that, showed her the comic, we talked about it. She agreed. I think it's a cash grab from Blizzard to promote. And I really hate saying it this way, but it really seems like it's just Blizzard being like, oh hey, hey PC culture, you're really popular right now. Let's release a comic right now that'll get us in your good graces. And I think there was enough of a backlash. There was a backlash about it on the Overwatch Reddit. It made it to all. Like there's enough of the people in the community that are just like, you know what, that's great. She's gay. We don't have a problem with her being gay. But what the fuck was the point of that announcement? Like why?
I might have an answer, counselor. Because they're catering to the 14-year-olds that want the waifus to kiss each other. Might come into play.
But that's ultimately like it belittles that idea.
I'm not saying it doesn't, but I'm saying this is Blizzard. You're going way too in depth with this.
A cynical way to look at it. Because
I mean, maybe it is, but like that's the way it felt to me. And I can
that's
understand why other
completely
people
fine. Like that's great. But here's where I saw it completely different. I watched the I didn't watch it like live, but the
Lego 25 no
BlizzCon,
Overwatch does not have a campaign to it.
like the BlizzCon from 2015, when they take like a Q&A from the audience, it. One of like the cool things about Overwatch is that not just like the diversity of like classes that you can play in the game, but just the characters. It takes place on Earth, alternate reality Earth, and there's all sorts of people represented in this game. Like not a lot of games let you play.
And I understand that, and I really appreciate the amount of diversity that they throw in there. I really do.
Right, absolutely, and that's great. I mean, we should applaud them for it. But
Stealing
one
from
thing
other
that
video
they
game
didn't
franchises?
is one thing that people kind of brought up during these Q&As is, LGBT representation, LGBTQ. And, I thought, nah, that's kind of true, but, there's always a time and a place. I thought they handled that pretty well and kind of subtly. I don't think it was kind of forced or in your face or kind of, maybe what you interpreted.
No, I'd agree. I'd agree. It wasn't forced or in your face, but I mean, like, for people that do follow the Overwatch storyline, for people that keep up with that community, I think there was enough of a consensus there that said this was a pointless reveal. Like, nobody really had a problem with the fact that she was gay. I don't think any, and the people that did, they're fucked, But
I concur.
I just like it. Just didn't. It didn't add anything to me, at least.
Again, I think that's also another cool thing about it is that it's part of the story, which has nothing to do with the game. The game is just,
but a lot of the other comics that they've released have had to do with story. And I could, it would have been. I guess this is my take on it. Like, if they would have come up with a way to reveal that Tracer was gay, that further propelled her story, that taught you more than about that character, and as a result, like, you learned she was gay, but you also learned something deeper about that character on top of it.
Okay.
I think it would have been better
definitely see
received. But for them to just turn around and be like, "Hey, guess what? We're announcing she's gay just because we want to announce that she's gay." Like, that's fine. Like, I don't have a problem with it. Good on Blizzard for doing it. But like, it just didn't seem. It really seemed like they were just capitalizing.
I can see your point. If they had done that any other time outside of the seasonal event thing, because this is kind of the seasonal thing isn't huge lore. It's just a fun thing to do for the community. If they had done this outside of it, I could see that, especially if it was a little more forced. And I guess using the word cynical, is kind of like not in like not like an insulting way.
Yeah, no, I don't take it that way at all. Like, and maybe you're right. Maybe it is just me being cynical.
But you're right. I mean, there's a lot of people can be. A lot of people make decisions for their company mainly for PR.
Right.
Like for a cash grab, like you said. But I think Blizzard's kind of too big for that. I feel like I don't think it needs more money than. I don't think it needs an extra $1,000 because someone who just always supports LGBTQ stuff will like hop on. I don't know. What?
I don't know.
I know Tim's feelings on Blizzard and they're not above anything, but I mean I guess just coming from me, like that was just another cool, fun thing to add to because of my sensibilities. I guess it just was a fun, great thing for me.
You're both.
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
you're both right.
I know a lot of people that did appreciate that from that regard. That were just like, oh, it's a fun little tidbit. Like, why should this be as big of a deal as everybody seems to be making it out to be right now? But and honestly, the bottom line is that it shouldn't. And maybe it's more telling about the day and age that we live in, and maybe the fact that things aren't quite as progressive as everybody would like them to seem. But ultimately, I felt like it was just a hair away from being like the Fear effect, like we're just gonna make them gay just because it'll sell games type of thing. Like,
I mean, it's a smart move on their part. They play into the whole PC culture thing. But like Jose said, it's not really a bad thing. It's, gay folks are out there, folks, and who gives a fuck?
Well, like, then there was all this misinformation going on around about it that was like, oh, Tracer's the first, like gay character being accurately represented in video games, and like that's not fucking true.
How? Who said what?
Like, there was like a thread that I saw about it on Reddit.
People maybe it might be reaching at that point.
Yeah, and they were like, oh, this is really great on Blizzard because this is the first gay character that's been accurately represented in a video game. And it's just like,
Doesn't she go around shooting giant monkeys and shit? Like, how? What? The fuck?
I don't know. Anyways, like, it just... like I said, I admit that it's cool that they went ahead and did that. I really have no problem with that. I guess it was just the way they went about doing it that I have the problem with. That it just, to me personally, it felt like more of a cash grab than anything else.
We really need to do another podcast soon. We're doing the top 5 games of 2016, and all of a sudden this is a Blizzard is evil, and they.
Well, I don't think they're evil in any way, shape, or form. I just don't.
Suck on the
don't
souls
agree
of
with
children.
the way that they made that announcement. That's all. That's really what I'm trying to say. Is I disagree with the way they made that announcement. I feel like if they would have released a comic, if they did something like that, they shouldn't have lumped it in with a comic that's just like what everybody's doing in their downtime. That alone feels like a stupid comic to me for them to release.
Are you kidding me, dude? Like, fuck that whole reveal. Like, that one page of just what everyone's doing was like so much. Like they added so much to like the lore. It's ridiculous. Like. For example, Reaper, like, he's just some fucking edgelord, but like, there he is stalking some family. Is that his family? Like, his old family? Like, what is going on?
Pretty sure he's just
Farah, she's having dinner with like an older gentleman. Is that her father? Could it tie into like Sombra's like image reveal from like her ARG? Like, Jesus Christ! Like, so much awesome stuff was revealed in that, and I think
once again, all of that stuff, I feel like would have been better revealed in a way that, like, literally every event that happened in that comic was just like a slice of something awesome, and it wasn't enough. It was literally like a fucking teaser trailer. Like, that comic shouldn't have been that. Like, it should have been something bigger.
I think we're of different minds on this, because if they just revealed everything, that would destroy me.
I'm not saying reveal everything.
I'm glad that they little tendrils of story.
I have no problem with the tendrils, as you say, of story. I have no issue with that. I actually like that they edge it out slowly but surely. But it seems like everything to this point has been edged out with purpose. And then all of a sudden they're just like, hey, here's what everybody's doing with their downtime. This person's having dinner with an older gentleman. This one's I mean, you kind of outlined everything that's going on, but like, I don't know, none of it felt compelling, I guess to me.
Yeah, I mean,
like, it was like, all right, that's kind of cool. I get what they're trying to illustrate here, but maybe
I can forgive it because it's specifically for the holiday event, which, I don't think it being winter in the Overwatch world is something like important to the story. That's how I kind of forgive it, and I'm allowed to,
Yeah. I mean,
crazy fan.
Everybody's entitled to their own opinion about things.
But yeah, like, we have to hop on Overwatch at some point. It was fun playing with you and your buddy.
Oh yeah, dude. Like,
and I've gotten so much better since then. So
I'll play the shit out of that Christmas event with you.
Good. That thing is so fucking fun.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, that was my number.
Are we talking about top whatever games of whatever year it is again, or are we back on Overwatch memes? Like,
right, I'll throw it to you, Palmer.
All right, we're on my number one now. I think this isn't going to come as much of a surprise to anybody. Dark Souls 3.
I completely forgot that came out this year. I thought that was last year.
Yeah, no, it came out at the beginning of this year.
All right.
Fucking fantastic. They really took... This feels like a Dark Souls game, whereas Dark Souls 2 felt like it was shat out by a third-party developer. Dark Souls 3 was hammering it home. They borrowed a lot from Bloodborne, made it more fast, much more frantic combat. Enemies deal much more damage. It's less slow, less deliberate. You're dodging and moving a lot more than I think I personally did in any other Dark Souls game. The bosses felt fresh and unique. I mean, every single one was a whole new take. I haven't played a Dark Souls game yet where I've done much in terms of multiplayer that hasn't been PvP. This Dark Souls game, I found myself summoning people to help me with bosses, doing a lot more co-op than I ever did in any other Dark Souls game, because the challenge was in your face. I mean, like, that game, like, they really upped the ante in terms of difficulty. And honestly, like, it's got some of the most breathtaking set pieces I've ever seen in a game, period, much less a Dark Souls game. I can't remember. It's been a little bit since I played it. There's a certain area that you enter that's like basically like, it looks almost like a frost city. I think it might be Irithyll. Is it Irithyll?
Nibelheim.
Yeah, Irithyll in the Boreal Valley. Holy shit! The first time you step out there and you take a look over the cliff and you see Irithyll in all its glory, it's shiny, it's beautiful. The draw distance is fantastic. I mean, it's breathtaking. You get out there, you reach your first bonfire, and it's hovering. Your first bonfire that you get to is on a cliffside. And you get down there and you sit down by the bonfire and you replenish yourself, and it's literally right after you beat one of the most challenging bosses in the game. And you sit down by that bonfire and you're just like, I fucking made it. And then you realize, like, I spent a good just like probably like 5 minutes staring over this cliffside, admiring how beautiful the scenery was around me. And there's not that many. The Witcher 3 was another one that did that to me. Like, there's only been a handful of games that have ever been released where I've really sat back and said, this is breathtaking. This is legitimately breathtaking. And Dark Souls 3 had that not once but twice. Irithyll was the first one that did it to me. And there was another one. The first time I got to Anorlando, when you're on that bonfire and you're staring at this massive temple that's laid out in front of you, it's gorgeous. It's really gorgeous. And I mean, the enemy types are genuinely creepy. The bosses, like I said, are fantastic. There's one in particular that I want to highlight. It's a big tree boss that you fight in the middle of this area. It's basically a big courtyard. You step out, and this tree boss just emerges, and there's a couple different phases to it. The first phase is you have to attack these like polyps on the tree, and that's its only weak point. And this tree is bombarding you with just sacks of goo that it drops down. It's trying to stomp on you and all sorts of shit. And you get it down, you whittle down its first life bar, and then the whole level just caves underneath you, and you drop down, and it's you and this massive tree stepping toe to toe, and there is nowhere to go. There is not a single place to escape, and you have to fight this fucking tree head on. There's really no other way to go about doing it. And it's one of the most terrifying and exhilarating moments I've ever experienced in gaming, because at first, like, when you were wide open against this tree in this massive courtyard, it was a whole different battle. You could dodge, you could avoid things. When you're in this hole and there's literally nowhere to go, and your only option is to like roll underneath the boss to avoid avoid its swipes or anything like that, like, it's a whole nother ball game. And it feels good. Like, games like that, moments like that in games are really what I live for. That challenge, that exhilaration, that once I died, I don't even know how many times. Like, it must have been a good like 15 or 20 before I managed to take it down. And that was the last boss that I managed to take it down by myself. Every other one from there on, I summoned and did the co-op stuff from there on. But man, did I love Dark Souls 3. Even talking about it right now reminds me that there's DLC that got released for it, and I've got to go back and play that. But I mean, I expect a flurry of just fucking outlandish, rude texts from you in like 4 a.m. then, because that's kind of what you do whenever you start a Dark Souls game. I just get messages at 4 a.m. Motherfucking cut shit. Yeah, that's pretty much how like it goes for me whenever I play Dark Souls. Is I just curse at my fucking monitor over and over again.
Man, I fucking love it when Palmer plays a new From Software game because he always has like the best reviews. It's always like so.
I mean,
it's like
those guys. But like honestly, like they get video games. Like they get what they're supposed to be. They get that they're supposed to be this challenging, rewarding experience. It doesn't shove storyline down your face. It just says, "Hey, we've made a fantastic game with brilliant gameplay, and if you fuck up, it's your fault." And I can't say that I don't appreciate games like that. Like when you come across a developer that does it right, that nails it from start to finish, and creates a game where you have nobody left to blame but yourself, you're sitting and looking at a gem but of a video game. Like, that's just the bottom line. And I mean, they continually managed to do it. Like I said, they stumbled a little bit with Dark Souls 2, but their A team was working on Bloodborne at the time. So, I mean, like, you know, it makes sense. As long as it's not the B team working on a Dark Souls game, you're going to get a fantastic experience. And they really fucking nailed the graphics. It ran beautifully. I didn't read too much about port problems with it on PC. Like, from the beginning, it was fantastic. It was a great experience. I ran into no issues. The frame rate was great. I mean, it fucking nailed it, man. Like, I don't even know how else to say it. The game was great. I fucking loved it. Fantastic. 10 out of 10. Would Dark Soul again.
Would Dark Soul again. Alright, my number one, should come to no surprise to you two, is Killing Floor 2.
Yeah, man, yeah.
Everything they said, fantastic game. Just wanted to touch on the mods. There are a lot of mods for that game. Then going to like Super Mario N64 to Skrakes on a Plane, which I mean, just fuck, in and of itself could be its own game. Like the modding community for that game is hilariously stupid, and I love it to fucking death. And
that's I was just thinking about this the other day. That's the one thing that fucks up any bit of story that the developers like wanted to put into it.
Skrakes on a Plane.
Because like, you know, the only story you get are from the maps. And and a lot of maps that we've played look like they could legit have been made, you know, by the developers, you know, like specifically for it. So like that kind of throws everything out the window, and you know, it's fun. It's pretty funny to me.
But like, I mean, just perfect, like to the fucking texture reimaginings or remakes rather of Killing Floor 1 maps. Just stupid fucking maps where there's ice rinks and gingerbread men coming at you and yelling at you. To like giant mode maps, kind of like Chivalry had, to just every goddamn thing you can imagine you can find. My one issue with it is that sometimes matchmaking, it gets kind of fucky when you do mod stuff. But there was like a 2-week stretch where I would play with Jose and Isaac where like everything went smooth. It was perfect. Nothing wrong ever happened. It was amazing. And then like it kind of went back to fucking up every now and then. So once they fix that, it'll be just fucking perfect. But yeah, Killing Floor 2 is a fantastic co-op shooter. Everyone seems to enjoy it. I'm never like, hey, look at Killing Floor, and they're like, oh, this is boring. It's always like, whoa, shit, I need to buy this immediately. And it's just one person who fucking refunded it. He was Colin. He will forever be marked as a fuckboy for that. But it's just Killing Floor 2 is a fucking amazing game. It, like Jose said, it builds on the second one, or the first one, rather. There are some differences, perk-wise, weapon-wise, character-wise. But for the most part, I'd say it's all better. Killing Floor 2 is a much more polished experience. It looks tremendously better. The fucking blood and gore effects in this game give Doom a run for their money.
God, yeah, they really do.
It's just, it's a really fun co-op shooter. And they did add the PvP thing in. I've played it like once. Nothing really to write home about. I guess it's cool that it's in there, even though at the time it kind of slowed the development of the regular game. But now that it's in there, it's a cool thing to be in there. Just every now and then, you're like, fuck it, let's do some PvP. You can do that now, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, Killing Floor 2 is just it's a phenomenal game. It came out in early access about a year and a half ago, and we've just been playing it ever since, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, no,
the only negative thing I'll say about Killing Floor 2 is that whenever I launch it, it takes goddamn 3 years to get into the goddamn game.
Unless you inevitably crash, then it reloads in really quickly. But yeah,
that's on a solid state, dude, and your load time cuts down by like 30 seconds for that.
It's still like 3 fucking minutes or whatever it is. But yeah, that is a thing. But it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, it absolutely isn't.
considering the glory that is the game.
I don't think Sam could ever get that to work on his computer.
Well, he's like running a Mac or some shit, isn't he?
No. He built a PC, dude. He built
Oh,
one
yeah,
almost as
yeah,
powerful
that's right.
as mine.
Yeah. Has he tried it recently?
No, he
Like,
hasn't
since it
tried
actually
since-
launched?
Since it left early access.
Oh, tell him to give it a whirl.
Yeah.
But yeah, Killing Floor 2, fucking dope as shit. And that concludes our list / Overwatch rant for the day.
Oh my god. I know,
hope
dude. We
you
had
enjoyed.
some interesting conversation here. I think this is a good list. On all
Social
on
progress
whatever
has been
it's
made
like.
on this cast, and you were here to witness this historical moment.
Sure,
That's,
why not?
that's,
I don't
that's,
think
that's what I'll
we
put in the
have
YouTube description.
Ever disagreed really on anything?
That's yeah. I guess
Right?
it's-
Yeah, we're all like pretty modern major generals.
It's all the shades of Blizzard Evil that you disagree on.
modern
That's the only
nature
thing.
Vanderbilt.
But anyway, we hope you enjoyed. We'll be back next month. I think we're going to do a regular cast next month, because clearly we need to do one. Because it's actually been a while. And
Yeah, really.
there's
We need to get back into the regular focus of it. I think.
There's things we need to discuss and
I
updates and all
think
that
we
shit.
need to do more gameplay.
More gameplay. You want
I mean,
more?
let's do it.
It'll force me to play games. Like
You want to
Honestly,
do
I
more
think-
Dark
I
Motion
think
Media
we
After
should-
Dark?
Yeah, I think we should go back to doing it like at least every 1 week podcast, another one.
Gameplay.
I'd love to get it to the point where we did it twice a week, because honestly, we play enough fucking video games. But we'll see. I don't know. We'll see what 2017 brings. It'll hopefully be a much better year than 2016 was, because 2016 kind of fucking sucked.
Oh, you mean outside of our bullshit?
Yeah.
I was looking back. We did all right this year. No, the rest of the year. Yeah. That's a. The meme city.
God damn.
Yeah. Anyways, rip Carrie Fisher. See y'all.
David Bowie, Prince.
If someone mentions Fidel Castro, I'm gonna drive to wherever you want and beat the shit out of you.
Rip
Castro.
Yes, because he was such a good humanitarian. Fucking idiots. Jesus Christ. Anyway, we hope you enjoyed, and that I guess no more celebrities die in the next 3 days, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, here's to hoping that Betty White makes it through 2016, folks.
You can do it, Betty. We'll see you next
Holy
time.
shit.
Take care, everybody.
Peace.
Peace.